What's going on, guys? This is Martyrs Brigade 99 coming to you once again with another session of Dark Souls PvP. Alright guys, we're back at it in the forest. This time around we're going to do something a little different. Now, some of you may say, dude, different what? Alright, because, since I've been uploading, I've been trying to do a little something different, kind of a lot. Now, different with regard to builds, with regard to weapon selection. I kind of switch it up with montages every now and then. But what I'm talking about in particular in this video is the usage of some of the larger weapons. So, this is going to be a two-part series that's basically going to be titled, I don't know, I think we'll call it PvPing with the big boys, right? And when I say big boys, I'm not necessarily talking about the players, but I am talking about weapon selection. Now, what kind of weapons do I really consider to be big boyish type of weapons? Well, some of the heaviest weapons, some of the weapons that a lot of people are afraid to use, mainly because of some of the slower swing speeds. This is one classic example. The stone great axe. It's another example. Some of the ultra great swords. Although you do see a lot of these noobish, used to be housewives rocking the Zweihander. I think that's how you pronounce it. But, for the most part, you really don't see a lot of people rocking the ultra great swords, and for an understandable reason. Number one, they're very easy to parry, right? Because I think the ultra great swords are perhaps the easiest weapons to parry, only second to the Black Knight Great Axe. And actually, if you just want to be honest, the Black Knight Great Axe was the very first weapon that I learned to parry. Even though a lot of people are kind of intimidated by using that weapon, that is probably the easiest weapons to parry. The parry window is so large. You almost can't even mistake it. Especially when you're parrying the second swing. It's so large. It's almost fail-proof, right? So I would consider, okay, nice BS there, even though he tried to get me with the high-speed crossbow. But I would really consider the ultra great sword class of weapons some of the easiest weapons to parry. So because of that, I figured to myself, I said, you know what, I'll go ahead and use some of the big boy weapons, right? Because as most of you guys know, I've done a few strength build weapons, for which I will use, the large club, man serpent great sword, Black Knight halberd, hand axe, war pick, and some of these other strength weapons. But did I really experiment with a lot of the larger strength weapons? Like the demon great, was that demon great axe or demon great hammer, whatever it's called, or like this weapon. I didn't really experiment with any of those. So it is my intent to go ahead and do a two-part series dedicated to a lot of those weapons. Now, I will not use the big boy weapons entirely, but I will be using a lot of them, right? The large club, Black Knight Great Sword, I think that's what it's called, the weapon that you see right here. I'll be using that Demon Great Machete. I think I used that a couple times, and a few others. Right, so I hope you guys will enjoy it. Now, some things to keep in mind. Like I've said in the past, and like I'm pretty sure a lot of you guys have experienced for yourself, these larger weapons, right, are not katanas. They're not great swords. They are not weapons with a fast recovery that you would get from, let's just say a weapon like a katana, because like with a katana you could just swing real quick and your character will recover pretty quickly. these are not those weapons. So you kind of have to gauge when you're going to attack. You know, case in point, that running R1 attack is pretty difficult to land. So it's not like a katana where you could just empty swing, empty swing, empty swing, and perhaps not get punished. No. These weapons are so heavy and so strong that even the description will say a missed swing could really cost you. Now, this is especially true when you're faced against a roll BSer. Right? And my advice for anyone who would like to kind of experiment with some of the big boy weapons is to have you a hand axe handy. Right? Because I forgot to mention this in one of the more recent videos where I was talking about some of the tactics that I tried to employ against roll BSers. And in that video, I specifically pointed out, you know, the Gold Tracer, the Painting Guardian Sword, or one of my favorite, the Quelaag Fury Sword. But I forgot about the strength weapon class, for which, you know, when you're dealing with some of these roll BSers, it's good to have a handy hand axe on your side, because for some reason, those weapons are particularly good with following your opponent when they're just kind of flipping everywhere, right? And even though you might not get a hit, in most cases you can at least negate the roll BS attempt, which is basically all we're trying to do. Right? I think I've talked enough about roll BSs, so I won't really go too far into that. Now, so let's just talk about my build a little bit, you know, and some of the pros and cons. Now, this is my strong mage. I believe it's a level 125. I think it's 50 in strength, 18 in endurance. Look at the desperate guy coming in with his soul spear. Ridiculous invader. I hate guys like this. He's so desperate for a win with his little castings. Get off it, guy. Take that 1,000 damage BS. Right, that's what you take for being so desperate. But what I was saying is, you know, I have 50 in strength, 18 in dexterity. And actually, before I continue to go into it, I had a couple guys kind of ask me questions about strength builds. And with some of those questions, I've noticed that some of the guys would invest more than 18 in dexterity. So, to the extent that you guys are relatively new to the game, let me kind of explain something to you. If you want to have a strength build, it absolutely makes no sense, in my personal opinion, to upgrade your dexterity past 18. Now, in a lot of cases, with regard to strength weapons, you actually don't even need 18 in dexterity. The only reason why I would suggest 18 in dexterity for strength weapons is for those who are interested in wielding the Black Knight class of weapons. Now, if you just want to stick with a lot of the strength weapons and ignore some of those Black Knight weapons, then don't worry about 18 in dexterity. Case in point, the Man Serpent Greatsword, I don't even think it has a minimum requirement in dexterity. I think it's just 24 in strength. So why do you need dexterity? A lot of these other weapons, you don't even, a lot of them don't even have a minimum requirement in dexterity. So there's really no point in upgrading it unless you plan to use a lot of the Black Knight weapons. Case in point, the Black Knight Great Axe, which is a favorite for a lot of guys. And actually, I like the Black Knight Great Axe, right? Alright, I'd like to give a shout out to good old Mr. Bushido Wright. Right, I'm pretty sure a lot of you guys know him. Right, he definitely has a YouTube channel, and he streams every now and then on the twitch.tv. So in addition to the shout out, I'd like to invite you guys to check out his channel and check out his Twitch. Perhaps you can kind of check him out whenever he's streaming. I don't really know how often he streams, but I do know every now and then he'll kind of stream. Right, and I like to join it whenever he's uploading, because he always has a lot of good players, and actually that guy has an awesome selection of music. I love his music taste. Right, it's pretty similar to mine. Alright, so back to what I was saying. So this is my strong mage. 18 in dexterity, 15 in strength. I think 35 in endurance. I'm medium rolling. I'm using the Ring of Favor Protection. I think I have 50 strength with this build. And I think 16 in attunement, because I think that would give me 4 attunement slots. And I have 18 in intelligence. Now, one problem that I'm seeing with this build is 18 in intelligence doesn't really do that much. And I don't know if it was during this particular series of matches, but there were several instances, There were several instances where, I thought I was going to get a guy with Dark Beat dead on. And in some cases, I only inflicted like less than 100 damage. But there is a random invasions video, right? Whereas I think the first match was me against Short Dude. Same build, same stats. But against him, I inflicted 600. I think it was like 672 in damage. Now, I'm not trying to say that I'm just trying to one-shot people. But what I am saying is, it was kind of interesting to me that at least in that individual case against Short Dude, I inflicted pretty good damage, even though I have only 18 in intelligence. But in, I would say, the vast majority of the matches that I participated in this video, I really didn't do that much damage with my 18 intelligence. So, I don't know, maybe it was just a lucky day during the time that I fought Short Dude, and, not too lucky in a lot of these instances. Alright, now, another thing that a lot of you guys ask, I know some of you guys say, dude, you must be at a super high level because you're wielding both strength weapons and dexterity weapons. Well, no, dude, here's one thing, a little food for thought. In the brigade, we only have 2 armor selections with regard to my male characters, right? I dress my male characters either in this armor combination or the armor combination that is featured in the If You Can't Take the Heat, Stay Out of the Forest video. Those are like my 2 favorite armor selections with male characters. Right, so you guys just keep in mind that a lot of times, if you notice me starting off with strength weapons and I'm wearing this armor set, and then later on you notice me with the Chaos Blade with the same armor set, just keep in mind that I am not rocking a level 150 build. No, they're all within the same parameters that I've established in the past. All of my builds are somewhere between 125 and 130, right? A lot of builds are exactly 125. Some of them are exactly 130, and I have a lot of builds somewhere in between 125 and 130. All right, so back to what I was talking about. So that's my build. Like I said before, 50, 16 in attunement, 50 in strength. 18 in dexterity, and 18 in intelligence, something like that. I think that's what it is. Now, was this build really designed to do a lot of casting? No. It's basically designed to make the maximum usage of the hidden weapon, right? And the reason why I do that is because in a lot of cases, when you're kind of spotting these larger weapons, it's kind of easy to visualize them coming at you, right? But, I have found in a lot of my experiences that for some reason, although a lot of my enemies may know the type of weapon that I'm wielding, the fact that it's invisible makes it a little more difficult for them to anticipate some of the attacks. Right, and I don't know if it's psychological because they can't see it. Perhaps, they can't really gauge the distance, how far they should stay away from me or when they should close the distance. I don't know if it's that. I'm not really sure what exactly it is, but I have found that hidden weapon helps out a lot with a lot of these slower weapons. right? So if you guys notice, I would use the hidden weapon. Every now and then I would use the strong weapon, that magic buff, for which, I mean, I don't really buff weapons a lot, but every now and then I'll use a buff. But at the end of the day, with only having 18 in intelligence, the buff, I mean, it's not like it's really increasing the magic strength that much. I mean, increasing the weapons damage output that much. It's really not. But I mean, I have it. I figured I needed to occupy those four slots in some way, so that's why I have it. But I have the hidden weapon, hidden body, the dark bead, and the strong magic weapon. Those are my 4 slots. Now, if you guys notice, this is one of the main reasons why I hate this Darkwood Grain Ring. Now, if you guys paid close attention to this match, there were several times that I think I should have hit my particular opponent with that R2, with the two-handed R2 of this particular weapon. But for some reason, I don't know if it's the invincibility frames, I don't know if it's bad luck, but for some reason he was able to just ninja flip out a lot of those attacks. Right, but it is what it is. I won't complain too much because it has been rightly nerfed. Right, so now a lot of the builds that are still using the flippy ring, they deserve to use it, right? Because they had to make compromises with regard to poise. No longer are you going to see a guy with the highest defensive armor flipping around like a ninja, right? So they have the benefit of not only high poise, not only of the highest defensive stats in the game, but also invincibility frames. No more will you see that. So, I mean, so what? I mean, as much as a lot of us complain about the Darkwood Grain Ring, I mean, who cares? Because at least after the patch, I think it's cool. I think it's pretty good. Alright, so we are fighting against another big boy user. And that's a huge weapon. And actually, you guys notice I'm hitting a lot of those attacks right there. Now, that particular running two-handed R1 attack is not easy to gauge with regard to time. And that's a nice uppercut right there. I'd like to give a shout out to good old sweet Rosie. What's up, Rosie Red Sugar? And basically, I'm giving her a shout out because I'm pretty sure a lot of you guys are familiar with the uppercuts video. And I don't know if she changed the title, but I do know when the video was originally uploaded, it had something to do with uppercuts. I think it's titled Dim Uppercuts or something like that. And she is a high-speed female uploader right now. You know, for a lot of you feminists out there, I'm not saying anything about the fact that she's a female. I'm just pointing out that in a game that I would assume is mostly played by males, right? She is not within that type of demographic, right? She's a young female, and she uploads awesome videos. So in the event that you guys are not familiar with good old Red Rosie Sugar and her uppercuts, go ahead, check her out. But you know, that's another reason why I wanted to experiment with a lot of these weapons, because a lot of them have pretty good R2s. The Black Knight Greatsword has a great R2. That Demon Great Axe or Demon Great Machete, whatever that thing is called, that has a pretty good R2. Most of which will exercise that uppercut attack, right, to where you just basically elevating all of them to the sky with like 600 damage. Alright, so I missed that. But that attack right there is kind of difficult to gauge. Right? It's not one of those attacks where, you know, you kind of think you're close up on the opponent and then you attack then. No. You actually kind of have to be away from them before you hit that R1, because think about it. While you are running, even though you are depressing the R1 button, you actually take about 3 or 4 steps before you slam down the weapon. And if you notice, during the time that I had exercised successful running R1 two-handed attacks, Okay, you guys see that? Okay, that guy was kind of using like a ganker, like an anti-ganker build. I mean, that guy like killed me in 2 hits. Okay, you know, we're in the forest, dude. We're looking for good matches. We're not kind of looking for 2-hit KOs. So, I mean, shout out to the high-speed power within, bellowing crest ring, pyromancy dude. I won't be fighting him. Because, I mean, that's kind of like not even fun. 2-hit KO. That's kind of like worse than to the previous version of the Hornet Ring. But yeah, like I was saying, that running 2-handed R1, right, that you see with this weapon and a lot of the other big boy weapons, you guys are going to have to time that pretty good, right? Because like I said before, while you are running and after you depress the R1 button, remember, before you actually come down with that hammer down attack, your character will take about 3 or 4 steps. So because of that, you can't treat it like one of those attacks that you gauge by visual, right? You kind of have to estimate probably about 3 or 4 steps in advance once you mash the attack button for the running 2-handed R1 attack. Alright guys, well that's pretty much it for part 1 of the series. I hope you guys are enjoying it so far. Stand by for part 2 of the series. Martyrs Brigade is out.